I spent most of my professional life as a reviews editor for technology magazines. And at one point I was at a magazine that was starting to have a few financial issues. And one day the editor-in-chief came into my office and said, "Barbara, from now on we are just going to review products for people who advertise for us." And I looked at him and I said, "What are you talking about? I mean, you don't do that. Not that and consider yourself a journalist. You review the products which are good products. Besides which, if we only review advertisers' products, what happens if we give them a bad review?" And he said, "Well, you're not going to do that, are you?" I said that we're not going to review the products. We will review the products that are worth being reviewed. And we had an argument about it for about half an hour. He walked out, and I resolved simply to go and continue doing what I was doing before, because it was the ethical thing to do. Well, a month later, the financial problems got so bad that there was a 10% layoff at my company. And guess who was first on the list? In 1971, I was interviewing for colleges, and the university I really wanted to go to was Princeton. Now, this was only the second year they were taking, I think it was the second year, that they were taking girls. And so I don't think the interviewers were very used to having a parade of young women coming up to them trying to get into the university. Now, the interview I had was at first perfectly fine. What are your favorite subjects? What do you want to study? So on and so on and so forth. And at the end of the interview, though, when I stood up to shake his hand and say goodbye, he looked at me and he said, "You know, I think you're the first girl who came to interview with me who didn't practically beg me to let her into the university." And I looked at him and I said, "Look, I really, really want to get into Princeton. It has a fabulous creative writing program. It's top of my list. I really want to get in here. But quite frankly, if I don't make it, I'm not going to go out and slit my throat." Well, I didn't make it. In May of 1970, 4 students were killed at Kent State University. 10 days later, 2 students were killed at Jackson State University in Mississippi. One reason that you know about Kent State and you don't know about Jackson State is that the students at Kent State were white, while the students at Jackson State were black. But that was very important to the students at my high school at the time, because it was in Brownsville, Brooklyn, which was a largely black neighborhood. So when word of Jackson State came around, the students went crazy. We went rampaging through the halls, screaming, "Shut it down, shut it down." And I, being a good budding radical, was one of them. And for all afternoon we went screaming through the halls, yelling, "Shut it down." At one point, I paused, and I looked into the window of one of the classrooms, and there was a teacher who I knew really well. Now, I had been a very good student. I was an A student, a very obedient girl, and all the teachers liked me. But at that moment, I looked at her, and she looked at me, and she leaned over and locked the classroom door against me. And at that moment, I knew what it was like to have a righteous cause and to be separated from those who simply did not understand.